instinct. I'm talking about the what some people have referred to as the lizard brain. That's what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And when
So,
I'm talking,
Angerman, are you saying it's like the survival of the fittest type
yes,
of mind?
Yeah,
Okay, okay.
Mhm.
they say your brain hasn't changed in 20,000 years.
Exactly. So what I'm talking about, and I was talking about this earlier when a young lady called into my show,
Mm-hmm.
and I was trying to explain to her that there are certain things written into us
Mm-hmm.
that predate our ideologies,
Mm-hmm.
predates religion, predates culture,
Mm-hmm.
predates even language, that cannot be ignored. That's going to play a role in some of the things we do that's in reference to the biological imperative, such as mate choice.
Right.
That's what I was talking about when I said evolution. That's why I said the conversation referencing Darwin, it does go against your argument,
How so?
because you're okay if you present the argument that the most competent men
Yes.
should get the best choice of women.
Yes.
What you're basing competence on is something that is fairly new.
Such as?
Competence, when you say okay, competence today, and I'm assuming that you're referring to a man who is able to who is educated, law abiding, is able to provide a living and has resources, correct?
That's a big part of it. I mean, in fact, I have a listing right here
Go ahead.
from Buss's book,
Mm-hmm.
The Evolution of Desire. Let me find it.
Go ahead.
Where is it? All these notes. Gosh. Oh, here we go. So, in Buss's book, there are two chapters in particular: what women want, and men want something else. For the ladies, there are 10 traits that they look for in men, not in any.
Can
Not
we speed this up a little bit?
yeah. And number one on the list is economic capacity.
Mm-hmm. All right, now I'm not familiar with I'm not that familiar with Bus. I haven't read any of his stuff.
He's an evolution sexual biologist or whatever. He's out of
Right.
University of Texas.
Give me the top 5.
He's out of
Sure.
Texas, right?
Yeah,
Look,
he's out of the University.
University of Texas at Austin. Yeah.
Give me top 5 real quick.
Sure. Economic capacity, number one. Number
Mm-hmm.
2, social status. Number 3, age. Number 4, ambition and industriousness. Number 5, dependability and stability.
okay, now here's the thing. Here's the problem with that.
How does it work out in the real world?
Well, that's what it was based on.
No, evidently not, because you wouldn't be arguing about it if it was actually wired into us, would it?
I think the better question
right.
would be, how does it work in the contemporary Black American
It
context?
wouldn't matter. It would be wired into you biologically.
But see, here's the problem with that, and that's why I wanted him to clarify.
Okay.
Because what you're basing competence on, and what David Buss is basing competence on, that is a fairly new concept.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you go back a little further, competence would be being able to bash somebody else's skull in, or being able to throw a spear, or being able to kill a certain type of like an animal, or things of that nature. And the reason why that's important is because we've done that longer than what Buss is talking about. So
Bus didn't advocate anything. The Bus just listed what women themselves have said throughout the world.
How do you define? In other words, how would you have defined that kind of competency, say 200 years ago versus now?
The problem with Bus,
one way would have been hunting. That's one way.
Mm-hmm.
Something I know a little something about.
Well, the problem,
the anger man.
Who's first? Let
me get this in, and then y'all can go. The problem with Bus is Bus doesn't account for environment. That's his problem.
Yes, he does.
He doesn't account. What I'm saying is he doesn't account for the fact what, like Angry Man is saying, a nerd in this time and age or a union blue class worker does not count back 1,000 years because you can't kill nobody. You don't know how to hunt. That's the status in which women are looking for. The status is what brings
Women
the
are
resources.
looking for killers.
Yes, yes. 1,000 years ago, you were looking for somebody to
The
protect
ability
you.
to kill.
Hold on.
Go ahead, Angry Man, jump in.
Here's the problem. Okay, here's the problem. Number one, the biggest thing that Bus is not accounting for is the fact that women in many cases are lying pieces of shit. That's number one. That's the first thing he's not. You can go do a poll and speak to as many women as you want. Women very rarely are going to say what they actually want. They're definitely not going to say what they want subconsciously because half of them don't even fucking know. So number one, that's already an issue right there. And then if you look at what we were just talking about, you said, do women want killers? Yes, they want men who are big and strong, who are able to beat up someone if that person attacks her, who are able to fend off a assailant. You understand what I'm saying? And
let's look at that for a moment.
Because we live in a hostile environment.
One at a time. Let Angry Man finish, and you can go.
He's saying what I was about to say, but go ahead.
No, I'm basically just saying that. I'm basically saying that part is hardwired into women, which is why this entire argument even exists. Because right now, logically, as civilized, and I get what you're saying, Obsidian. Don't think I don't get what you're saying. As civilized human beings living in this day and age, a woman should pick a guy who is competent, who has certain attributes about him. This is true. The problem is what they're hardwired to do is still primitive.
Yeah, just like us. We choose beauty.
Right.
For certain reasons, right? Because we're hardwired to do it. If we got the most competent female, it wouldn't be the most beautiful woman.
No, it wouldn't.
All right, most competent female in what way?
In other words, able to help you take care of your children, raise your children properly, run your household, all that kind of stuff. All the traits, all the social traits that we need to have a competent female.
Right. And the females change the culture. They validate the culture. So that's why that list will change. So Angry Man is right. You know, when you have a hostile environment such as the Black community, of course, these women are going to want protection. Now, if the environment wasn't so hostile, then yeah, we can go by that list. We can go by stability. We can go by resources and things of that nature.
I didn't say anything about stability.
He's right. But you said. What did you say in that list? I didn't read the book.
Yeah, who else?
Yeah, that's a big part of the problem here. I've read it, and I don't think anybody else here.
But you know,
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We can see how it shows up.
Having that masculinity, having the ability to kill someone, is synonymous with having that access to resources, because you couldn't have the access to food and other things if you did not have that aggression, right?
But it's the same thing with
he negates
let him finish.
Go ahead. Like when Obsidian uses like that, as his go-to to like describe why they should come to, let's say, for instance, like the educated Black man, right, rather than Pookie and Ray Ray. It kind of doesn't make sense, and he negates his own argument, because if you go back 200 years, then those who are able to get resources then would be the Pookie and Ray Ray, right? And so they're hardwired for that.
Well, that's the assumption.
Right?
Well, see,
it's called history. It's not an assumption. It's history.
Yeah.
Well, here's the big thing: is that women are.
Somebody else is trying to get it, huh? Real quick, me.
Okay, women are only make those sort of logical decisions in their personal life when they are socially, culturally trained to. Yes. And they're not trained to nowadays.
Nope.
Biologically, they go with whatever gets their pussy wet. That's just
so you're mentioning a variable. So you're introducing a variable here into the mix that kind of goes back to my point about how you can change. This is a very complex issue here that we're dealing with.
Actually, it's not.
Yes, no, it's not.
The human brain is incredibly complex, and when it deals with questions of mating, because evolution is about dealing with solving adaptive problems in the environment over time. So you're introducing a variable that wasn't in the mix prior to that. So the variable is
they evolve at different speeds. Okay,
that's, I agree with that.
And your hardwiring, which is 90% of who you are, only 3% of who you are deals with culture and logic. Okay, the rest is hardwired to you. And basically,
I'm sorry, where did you get this number from?
Wow.
You can look it up. Any neuroscience, any evil site can tell you that anywhere from 6 to 3% is actually is what you use for logical thinking. The rest is actually used to run your body.
Actually, that's interesting you say that, because once again, referencing Buss's book, number 6 on the list here of what women want in men, intelligence. And he says in that section that no one knows for certain what IQ test psychometrics, what they test for. Nobody really knows for certain what it measures. But
how does that have anything to do with what I just said?
I'm getting to that. I'm getting to that. Is that the point is that we don't know exactly to what extent intelligence is heritable, but we do know that there is a heritable component. We just don't know to what extent.
How does that refute what I just said?
Because you said only 3%.
What did I just say? What did I say?
Deals with adaptable changes, and the rest is all hardwired.
Basically, okay, your body is your whole body is actually wired for adaptive changes. You can tell that if you pull off all your clothes in 30 degree weather, what's your body going to do? Your pores are going to close up. You're going to shiver to keep your body warm. It adapts. Okay, it adapts to environment. What I said is that cultural conditioning evolves at different speeds. Your biology is not going to change in 3 generations or 7 generations. It's going to take 10,000 years for your biology to change. Your cultural evolution takes 7 generations. Okay.
As a matter of fact, that book would actually be wrong, because Jean Piaget, whose standard is still used in modern psychology, actually determined that the test actually measures socialization, not actual intelligence.
Well, again, that still doesn't change the point about intelligence being heritable and to what extent it's heritable.
Even beyond that, that's not the point I was making. In other words,
intelligence has no biological component.
It has a biological component, but the thing is, intelligence is a small part of it. It's a small part of it.
But I'm not arguing to what extent it's small or large. What I'm saying is
the gradual accumulation over time.
Yeah, intelligence, but culture adaptation, which is what human beings run on, how they're taught, has to be imposed. That is the other part of the equation. The thing is, the other part never gets turned down. Huh?
What do you mean imposed?
Somebody has to teach you how to be a human being. You just don't wake up being that.
Okay.
A modern human being has to be
taught. Are we saying that? Because again, my whole contribution to what's become known as the Pookie and Ray Ray debate is simply respond to the ladies like this. Look, you're the one that's complaining about the end product of your mating with a substrate of black men. My message to you is that you might want to think about changing it.
Actually, the real thing is that you have a mishmash of all different women from different social classes complaining about different things. Okay, upscale 92 octane upscale woman is not complaining about the same thing that a hood chick is complaining about.
But
I never suggested otherwise.
But what's being overlooked here is the fact that a lot of those men who fall into that category in this day and age are in that category because of a lack of industry. Yep. We moved out of if if we were still in an agricultural economy or an industrial economy, there would be a hell of a lot less men who aren't gainfully employed. So it's not a matter of like at the end of the day, no one gives a shit what these women are fucking complaining about. To be frank, no one gives a fuck. Who cares? Who gives a shit if they're complaining about the fact that, oh, I went and fucked this dude and the dude didn't turn out to be. So what? That's what most women do.